Hey, welcome to the Professional Triers. JR's here, and my light's falling down and distracted the hell out of me. Oh, look, David has learned from Jordan and knows
learned from
look in
Jordan.
the right direction.
Hey,
Yeah, this is a hard thing to learn. David's waving around all crazy, but yeah, I'm here with Brian as normal. And Brian, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, man.
Who do
We
got
are
here with us.
we're going to talk about another mini. So Todd Nelson, is this your first year in Pixels, but not your first year lighting, right?
No, this is my second year in Pixels, basically.
Okay, so I wasn't that far off. And then, of course, the
Oh,
famous David Peace.
Who do you think you are, David Peace?
where did that come from?
don't worry about it. Who does voice?
Just voices in your head.
Oh my gosh.
So you guys both went to one of the coolest venues I've seen for a mini ever. A fire station / bar / event center.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the mini that's in your hood, Todd, and then David, tell us a little bit about what you thought for traveling there.
So, this is my first mini ever, or my first meeting more than one or two Christmas light people in person ever. So it was pretty cool. I was excited when they sent out the invites, and yeah, the venue was incredible. It's a firehouse that he's basically building from the ground up, kind of trying to make it look old timey. He's got some restored fire trucks, and then he's got some other trucks that are somewhat in restoration. But very cool venue, lots of good presenters, and had a great time, learned a lot, won some cool prizes, was given some even cooler prizes randomly by some stranger there. And it was a great time. I really enjoyed it.
And for everybody, this is from the Pacific Northwest Clap
Right.
mini that took
I should have
place.
said that from the beginning, huh?
I meant to, and I totally spaced it. So I apologize to John and everybody over there. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I'm gonna miss a few names, but Mark Zambruski and Don, they put on a really fantastic event. The venue was actually, I think it was built by a gentleman that was part of the group. Is that right, Todd?
Yeah, I think he founded it way back when, or was one of the founders.
He sadly passed away 10 years ago, but the family still lets the event go on there. And yeah, it was really fun to go out there. We had a couple other people that came in as well. So Darren Hufty. Also, we had the same producer on Light Fight, so it's always good to see him. We're like producer brothers. And then Aubrey Call from Lightorama, she was there as well. So yeah, it was really a fun event. They also had they had some moonshine, which was really good.
That's new for David, so careful. He doesn't even know what that is.
I found out. No.
I bet I know who he got that from. He had it in Florida and it was really warm. Good.
Yes. Very toasty.
So wait a minute. So
is Lorne Counter.
I feel like this is one of the longest running minis ever.
It's been around for a long time.
Like
I think that's probably right.
It's over 10 years old.
Yeah.
If they started this before that gentleman passed away, so it's got to be what, 15 years, I think.
I'm looking it up on the website.
I think I have it in
nwclap.com.
a PM that I'm searching for now.
That is crazy for one of these minis.
Yep.
To be that old when the software that we all use now is not even that old.
Right. I think it seemed like, I don't know, probably half of the people, which surprised me, were still Lightorama, which I thought a lot more people would have kind of either moved over to Pixels by then. In fact, there was a whole presentation on should you go to Pixels or not, which, when I saw that on the itinerary, I was like, well, who doesn't use Pixels? I mean, what's the point of this conversation? But
Yeah.
there was a good portion of them, I think, that were still in Lightorama, and I think some of them still, a few of them didn't have any sort of animation, just
Static.
Christmas decorations and stuff.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a whole like lighting event. I could see why it's been around for so long, and that the fact that they,
Yeah, the guy who started it, the guy whose house, or the firehouse that we were at, the one who sadly passed away, they had a merry-go-round that he built, I think 15 years ago or something, out of motors and stuff. It was and they had updated it. It used to have incandescents, but they had updated it to rope lighting, rope LED lighting. And it was still running. They had it running there at the Mini on the porch, 15 years old or something like that.
wow.
It squeaked like an old bicycle, but it still worked.
Okay, I just found it. 2005.
Wow.
Wow.
17 years.
That's impressive.
I think that takes it for the longest running mini. In the
Yeah,
hobby.
and Chuck Smith coined the term mini
Oh,
of Planet Christmas. So there you go. He started that.
that's crazy.
Wow. That is
Not only information, educational.
that
Mhm.
is so cool. That is
Yeah, they
Wow.
did a lot of things. It's really cool when you go to the different minis to kind of just see how everybody does things a little bit differently. And, they were asking like, well, how does it compare to the other minis? And I was like, well, every group is different and everybody likes to do different things and learn different things. So there's nothing, I think they did an excellent job. But one thing I really like that they did is because, raffles and prizes always seems to be something that's kind of hectic and kind of crazy. The way they did it was actually kind of really nice. So they had the certificates up kind of hanging on the wall so you could see, what was available. And then just in between every presentation, as somebody's, they're teeing up the next thing, they're going to call 3 names, and then, they go to lunch and they call 3 more names. So like just throughout the day, they're just, calling a few names here and there, and then they get through it. And so it's not, like you're sitting and waiting for 50 names. It's kind of out throughout the entire day. So that was really nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
cool.
And they said at the beginning that everybody would get something, which I think it was actually more than that. At the end, they were putting numbers back in and
Yep.
giving out more stuff. So it was.
that is
definitely
my
worth it.
favorite thing, is when everybody walks home with something.
Yeah.
That
And
is
kudos.
And I won a
Definitely.
prize. Seth cut a picture of the prize that I won.
oh yeah. Oh, I love when you just tell Seth to do things.
Oh yeah,
It's
just
not
take over
cut
the
to
show.
picture, it's put it on the screen, David.
Oh, sorry. Put it
Fancy now.
on the screen.
Yeah.
That one. Yep.
So tell us like the agenda per se.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. So after I won the gift certificate for
Okay,
Mattis
David,
Designs,
that's normal.
sorry, he was holding up the gift certificate. I gave it to Todd.
Who you
Anyways,
think
continue.
you are, David Peace?
So tell us about like the agenda for the day. Like when you guys got there, did you guys do like a introduction thing and then
Oof,
go through
no.
the classes?
So I saw on the agenda that they were going to do introductions, and then when I walked in and saw, I think they sold 80 tickets, and there were close to 80 people there. They came right out and said, "Hey, we're not doing introductions," which is a good thing, because even if you cut people to 2 minutes, there's that one person that's going to go 25 and then complain when they have to sit down. But so we didn't do intros. They talked a little bit about what was going on and what the future was, and then they got right into the presentations, probably 15 minutes in.
Nice.
Which worked out well, and I thought the presentations were were good. They were varied. Had a guy talk about using effects other than just straight pixels on Coro, so backlighting the props and spotlighting the props and using different shading effects on the props and
Yeah, that was
what
really good.
works and what doesn't. A lot of cool Halloween stuff with tombstones and how to make them look creepy and stuff like that. And I learned some great things, using some prop or not just putting the pixels on, but backlighting the props themselves, which sort of highlights the prop so that you get not just the pixels that are doing whatever they are, but you get the view behind it or the color behind it, kind of like they're doing with televisions now and trying to throw the LED lighting on the wall behind it.
Mhm.
So I thought that was really interesting. There was a guy up in Everett who gave that presentation.
That's cool because like even with like the decor stuff, like it looks cool during the day, but when your show's running,
Yeah.
you don't notice it. But if you did throw a floodlight or backlit it, it would actually show the colors and the lights and totally make it a different prop. That's actually a genius class right there. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, it was all about layers, and he did a really good job. And he had the props there, so as he's talking about it, he's showing examples of how all this stuff would look. So yeah, he did a really good job.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So what other classes were there?
And just one thing I wanted before you answer that, the thing that I thought was really cool is they're the only other mini I think that is as laissez-faire with the schedule as SoCal is. They had a printed thing. I'm like, so am I before Aubrey? Or they're like, whatever you want. Like, okay, so but just like, so am I after lunch? They're like, well, you can go in the morning if you want, or you can go in the afternoon. So it wasn't until they're like, oh yeah, you can go up now. It's like, all right, no, all right, good now.
Yes, sir.
So were you asking because you weren't quite ready for your presentation and you had to
Well,
fine tune it, or
well,
because I mean I've
yes.
known you for a
So
few
you're-
years now. and
Actually, good question, Brian.
there's
That is a really
trend.
good question. That was a really good
Were you
question.
sitting in the back of the room finishing your presentation?
Yeah, I was. So the thing you good catch, Brian. What's funny is Aubrey would kept like turning around. She's like, because they were saying they'd go up there and they'd say, oh, David's talking about X and Y, and I'm like, oh, I am? Okay, well, let me change my presentation really quick. And yeah, Aubrey was kind of giving me crap about that, but yeah, I was tweaking it during the thing. Yeah, that's fine.
That's awesome.
Normal.
Yeah, par
That's,
for the course.
yeah. That's having David Peace and his flip flops at your mini.
Oh, there was no flip flops. He was.
Yeah, I was
What?
gonna say I did not wear flip
It
flops.
was too cold for. Well, it wasn't that cold, but it was not
For
flip
him.
flop weather.
You didn't have flip flops on?
I know.
Well, it was raining.
I
when
was
you went
wearing
in.
my.
I am
It was.
a statement.
I didn't hear that one. Yeah, the weather was absolutely gorgeous. I really love that area. It's so green compared to San Diego, which is brown. So it was really nice. I was taking a video as I was driving in a Dodge Ram, Brian.
Woo!
And I was taking a video of all the scenery, and I sent it to my wife.
Fail.
I sent it to Tikva, and she just replies, "No, we're not moving to Seattle."
She knows you well too.
Maybe
Yeah,
the
she-
outskirts would be better, not right in.
No, she's concerned about the lack. The reason I want to go there, which is the lack of sun. She wants the sun. I don't want the sun.
He
Anyway,
wants to wear flip flops every single day, but not when it's really hot out.
no, when it's hot, it's fine.
He wants like not a lot of sun, but not a lot of heat, but not a lot of weather.
Yeah,
Oh,
and no humidity.
it's a very small niche area that you. Yeah. Well, it rained. It actually poured kind of in the beginning, and then it cleared out pretty nice, which is pretty standard for up here. But yeah, it was a nice weekend, and we got to eat outside and go out and look at some guy's burnt up prop that.
That's right.
that
Yeah, somebody had a pixel failure.
Oh, a show and tell item.
Oh yeah, he took a picture. Well, he brought the fan and the fan after it, and the box, the bud box, which was just charred and melted. And
The bud box was.
What's that?
Wow.
On the exterior.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it was just like blackened.
Oh, because it was
Yeah.
next to it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he took out, I don't know, probably about a quarter of the fan before now this was something I'd never heard of before. He runs a show 24 hours a day.
Oh yeah. And he said it was still running. Like,
Yeah.
wow.
Which was surprising, but I think he's a little bit out he's out in the sticks a little bit. So he's got I don't know, but he runs the show 24 hours a day, and it caught on fire at the most inconvenient time at 3:00 in the morning, right? It catches on fire. His neighbors see it. The neighbors wake up the son. He goes out there in his pajamas and doesn't have a fire extinguisher and throws snow on it, I think is what
Yeah.
what I remember he said. The funniest part about that funniest part to me at least was the presentation came up and it said Nelson Family Christmas Lights. I was like, wait a minute, that's me. I'm Nelson Family Christmas Lights. What's this guy doing stealing my name? Turns out I think he's Nelson Family Lights, and I think I'm Nelson Family Christmas Lights or something.
Oh, that's funny.
I would have been like, oh, am I supposed to teach something? I wasn't aware. Let me sit with David and do the class.
David, how's your presentation look?
So we covered the backlighting class and a class on, I guess it was a class or a show and tell on your prop burning.
He was just a quick 5-minute, and he didn't really have any. It's not like he had any answers. He still didn't know what happened. It could have been the pixel issues that they've had, but I think he said he'd had those pixels for 3 or 4 years. So, anyways, we had that. What I thought was the most interesting presentation, because I enjoy sequencing, was is her first name Aubrey Call? Yeah.
Yep.
She's from Lightorama.
Mhm.
And I use X-Lights, but it's very similar, obviously. And she went really deep into like music theory, not so deep that like a neophyte like me wouldn't understand it, but hey, this is how the beat works. This is how it repeats. This is how, an intro. And it's stuff that if you've sequenced more than 4 or 5 songs, especially Christmas songs, which are very formulaic, that you kind of understand. You got an intro, you got this part, the chorus, and then the fours, 4 time. But she was really good at it, and she was. I wish I would have seen her whole thing on setting up timing marks, because the first, 10 or so songs that I sequenced in X-Lights, I was sitting there with my finger on the T button, hitting the T,
Yep.
trying to get those timing marks in there perfectly. And then I probably spent hours and hours getting those lined up, and even still afterwards, you didn't get them 100%.
Yeah. Then she's like, if you do that, you're dumb. You're stupid.
Yeah.
You're just wasting your time. Like all you need to do, like they're all 4s or 8s, or all you got to do is just repeat them.
Right. So I sat in the back silently offended by that.
And there's a new name for it now. I don't know if you saw the post. So it's the musical method.
Yeah.
So her last name is Call, so it's the musical method. Her class. I've seen it a couple times before, and it's always very, very good. She's a great presenter, but she's been refining her process for a while now. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Really impressive. I mean, I guess she started out in college or high school, even sequencing Lightorama, and kind of now she's the vice president of Lightorama, which is really cool, but very informative, very kind of cool stuff. And it applied to X-Lights and Lightorama, because, once you get the beat track down, after that, it's all, what color candy you want to put on there and how much.
I did have to wake up Don though while he was sleeping through her presentation. He was snoring, and I'm like, "Hey, you're snoring, buddy." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I've seen this presentation a couple times."
I am sorry, Don, that David's calling you out like that.
Hey, he worked hard getting everything set up for it. So
Yeah.
Okay, don't worry. I have witnessed David on multiple accounts sleeping at minis.
At minis, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a photo of you falling asleep in a chair at the Utah Mini. I have a video of you laying down in your class in Florida.
All right, I shouldn't have asked.
Yeah.
We did get.
Wasn't
we
he
did get,
laying down when we were all tearing down? He just laid down on the floor and was in
Yes.
our way and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So David, you shouldn't really be calling people out on sleeping at a mini.
The flip flops were hurting his toes.
Yeah.
Yes. We I don't know, Todd, if you got a souvenir. I brought back a few for the kids. This was brought,
Camel balls.
yeah, so we got camel balls. It's bubble gum.
Yeah.
They're actually it's very good.
Yeah.
It's like sour and it's got inside like there's juice. There's juice.
What is it like? Can you describe the taste?
juice.
It's sour. It's sour. Yeah. But it's good.
Sounds like a Rocky Mountain oyster.
Yeah.
Camel.
There was a lot of good food there. Some guy brought homemade caramels, like these giant caramels that were absolutely, oh my God, they were delicious.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
other people, there was all kinds of treats and food. I mean, there was definitely enough food to keep you occupied.
Oh, and the oh yeah, they had so much food. Was it Chipotle?
Chipotle, yeah.
Yeah. And then they had these two pinball machines, you know, that the guy had in the corner, and that was pretty fun, playing the pinball.
Yep.
Yeah, but it was definitely out in the sticks.
Oh,
In
yeah.
my
Pinball
phone.
in the middle of presentations, David.
No, that would have been too loud.
What's funny is the guy who started it, and this wasn't his property anymore, but the sons have nothing to do. They don't do. They have no interest in Christmas lights or doing any of that stuff. I think they mostly were restoring old cars and doing other things. But the property does not lend itself well for a Christmas display, because it's a I don't know 20-minute drive from the highway through woods almost.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
passed it a couple of times trying to figure out how to get down the street, and then because Google kind of takes you the wrong way,
Yeah.
and then
Google took it the wrong way, David.
yeah, it was Google, and then you go in, and the property's huge, like, and they have just tons and tons of these old fire trucks. Seth, put that up on the screen. The fire trucks.
It's so natural in the middle of
Yeah.
the podcast where you go, Seth, put it on the screen.
Put it
Why
on the
don't you
screen.
just tell your kid when he's editing our videos, be like, hey, put that on the screen.
Well, I'm not going to talk to him.
You'll probably be like over his shoulder watching.
This is the only time I get to communicate to my son. Seth, I love you. I hope to see you again soon. Oh, Todd, if you don't know, my son actually edits these, so that's
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
my
yeah.
son Seth. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tracking.
I know Dad's been in the office a lot lately.
Wow.
There was another. Well, David did his presentation on interactive displays and stuff like that. Very cool stuff. And what else? I'm trying to think what else was in there. A lot of there was a gal who gave kind of all the tools you need, and these are the lessons learned, and this is how you take care of,
She did
HOA.
a kind of tools of the trade thing, like we did in SoCal. It was really good.
3.
Hmm?
No, I'm just counting. Go ahead.
Are you counting how many times I say SoCal?
Yes.
There you go.
Did they mention step bits?
Mm-hmm.
They did,
Ah.
yeah.
See,
And that was one I saw on YouTube that I grabbed a couple of those, and those things are they're amazing. I don't know what.
oh yeah,
Yeah, they're very cool. What? Oh, there was a presentation on a guy and I think his wife or his girlfriend who basically go around to every Christmas display from in the Pac Northwest, so Northern Oregon, all Washington, even like Western Idaho.
Were they the ones from Vancouver?
No, what? I don't know. No, I don't think they're. I think they're from Everett. It's
Okay.
Yeah, they drive around to all these displays, and then they've got a Facebook page and a Google map, and they've they basically give people a kind of map to go around and look at all the displays
Wow.
in the area.
That's cool.
And they don't just, collect it and collate and throw it on it. They actually go to every one of these displays. I remember I sent them a text or a Facebook message or whatever when I put my display up and said, hey, can you add mine to the map? And he's like, oh man, we were just over there in Kitsap County last week. I wish I would have known. I would have stopped by. But he's done a really good job, or they've done a really good job of kind of, and it's, it's a thankless job. Nobody's giving them any money for this. They just like looking at Christmas lights. And so they try to collate them on this Google Maps,
That's awesome.
which was interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is very awesome.
So did someone in the group bring you into lights, Todd, or did you do this on your own and found them?
Oh. So I just retired from the Navy last year. And my last tour of duty was in Guam. And before that, I think maybe 1 or 2 years in the previous 30 did I ever put up any Christmas lights, and they were just static lights. And I didn't really think much about it. I loved Christmas lights. I just, being in the Navy, you're deployed a lot and moving around. It was just kind of like one of those, man, I don't have the gumption or the whatever. So my last tour of duty in Guam, though, I lived in this really cool cul-de-sac where on base, and like everybody was just great families. We had parties all the time, and a couple of guys just went out and just decorated their house, static LED or static AC lights, but they went hog wild. And I was like, oh man, that's cool. I'm going to do that. I want to go out. And so I bought a bunch of static lights and threw them up and went hog wild. And then, as most good hobbies go, I said, hey, I wonder what else I can do with these things.
And the rabbit hole begins.
And the rabbit hole begins. I started out on the Oz Christmas lighting website or Facebook. I think they have a website, and downloaded their 101 manual and went through there. And then, that led me to Lightorama. So I was like, I got all these AC lights, so let me go get a Lightorama. So I got a Lightorama 16 controller, and I hooked that up, and I put the Lightorama software on there, and I didn't really like it. It did some, I don't remember what it was. You had to have this USB dongle or something. And I was like, this is 2020. I don't need a dongle to run this thing. I didn't like it. That's when I went down the X-Lights rabbit hole, which was like, something out of Twilight Zone, just spinning, and oh my God. I kind of committed to it. I was like, okay, I'm going to have a display, downloaded X-Lights, started looking into stuff. And that's right about the time COVID hit. And so, obviously a horrible thing going on, but I couldn't work. We couldn't, the command that I ran, we couldn't do the work that we do without getting within 6 feet of each other. So we just kind of went home, and I had all this time on my hands. So I had X-Light software, I had time, and I started ordering stuff and just kind of started messing with X-Lights. And I remember I was like, I want to get into the sequencing and all that, but I can't because I don't have my props yet. And then somebody on Facebook said, you don't need your props, just put what you're going to have up there and start sequencing. And I'm like, what? You can do that? How's this work? I don't understand. And I spent probably 4 months. I sequenced 30 songs.
Oh, jeez.
I bought another. Now, let me, when I say I sequenced 30 songs, probably the first 10 are just the basic effects kind of bouncing, okay, now this one has a butterfly. Now this one has a butterfly. Now this one has a swipe. Now this one has a swipe, before I actually kind of got into figuring out some of the cool nuances of it.
Well, I think that's the best way to learn, just doing exactly that. People can get overwhelmed when they look at a completed sequence and so much is going on, but you just start out with, just like you said, the simple stuff, and you just build on it.
Yeah. I did that, and then I think I bought a sequence from somebody. It might have been Extreme Sequences. And after doing what I was doing, which was basically 1 or 2 layers on a single prop, and I didn't have it. I had a mega tree, a couple small things, and a couple of spinners, and I didn't have a lot of props. But 1 or 2 layers, and then I saw some of the stuff they were doing with like 36 layers was like, what the, you can do that? Oh my God. And, so you kind of tear apart their sequences to see how they make things work. It was, I loved it. I still love it to this day. I still like sequencing. I haven't done it recently. I'm working on some other things, building a new mega tree, as Brian knows, and getting all
So
the stuff together for that.
Are you sequencing mostly Christmas songs, or do you do other stuff as well?
Probably 80% Christmas. The first song, I feel stupid saying this, the first song I ever sequenced, what do you think it was? What's the first Christmas song you think I sequenced?
TSO
Wizards of
Wizard
Winter.
Winter.
No, Mariah Carey.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I said it was.
I don't know why that song always means Christmas to me, because I can't, at this point, I really don't like it, but I
Hey,
did that one. And then the second song I did was, oh God, what, Imperial March. I watched Matt Johnson's display on YouTube, the Imperial March, and I was blown away. I was like, I want to do that. So I sequenced that. I did I probably spent 2 weeks doing that, because I actually made a Pixel X-Wing fighter go up my Christmas tree. Animated pixels, or animated, what's that? There's an animated GIF maker that you can make and throw on there.
Is it Pixel?
Pixel, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that yours?
No.
Oh, I think that. But you have don't you have an online pixel?
I'm flattered though.
Don't you have an online pixel creator?
It's not a pixel creator. It's Light Show Hub, so you can do like mega tree simulation and build custom models.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of something else, but
May have heard about that somewhere. I
Yeah.
don't know.
What's
Bri-
that,
Bri-
buddy?
What the heck?
but he's got tons of voices.
so I did that, and I did it in Guam, and after a couple of months, it was like, I don't know, April or May. I was like, well, the only way to test this thing is to put it up, and it's so I put up a Christmas display in May, and it was COVID, and I'd heard some other people do that, and I put it up and learned a whole bunch about I'm glad I did, because as you guys probably know, the first time you set up your display out there's all these things you're like, wait a minute, why did it work in there? It doesn't work out here. And in Guam, there's it's high humidity, but April is not the rainy season. The rainy season comes in December, actually from like November to February. And so I learned a whole bunch and had that thing up for, I don't know, 2 months until housing came and told me I had to take it down.
I was gonna say, I mean, you're doing this all on base. I could just imagine what the housing manager is.
Well,
Yeah,
I
Brian,
get a
Brian's
little
over-
nasty
but it was
gram on the
Not
door.
gonna go well.
But it was COVID, right? Were they a little more lenient? People are stuck inside. No.
I don't know. She didn't actually, I don't think she ever came by and saw the display before, but she drove by at one point, kind of as restrictions were somewhat loosening up. And she said, you can't have Christmas lights up. And she gave me the timeline. It was like November to January. You can only have Christmas lights up. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I took them down. But by then I learned everything I needed to learn, and I got to see the sequences outside, which is another help.
So
being able to kind of see how they go.
what happened to the rest of the people in your neighborhood that was going big with Christmas lights? They just quit because you were like, mic drop.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. I'm still friends with these guys to this day. And I really was hoping at least one of them or two of them would get into it, because, for me, it ticks off a lot of boxes of things I like: electronics, networking, working with computers, building props, creating something. And these are guys that I relate with and I thought would have the same kind of, but almost all of them had families, right? Which is a little bit harder to kind of start from the get-go to do that. And I was the only one retiring. I knew that I was going to take this, whatever I made, whatever this display was, and where I retired, which I knew was going to be Bremerton, I was going to buy a house that I could put up a Christmas display. So I knew that whatever I built in Guam, I was going to bring back and be able to do here. All of these guys, for the most part, were going on to probably a different base, a different command, and it's a lot harder, I think, to do that with the uncertainty of kind of moving through the military.
So you were house searching in preparation of having a light show on the house.
Absolutely.
Good man. Good man.
Number two thing, the number one thing was my wife. She said we have to have a certain number of bedrooms for our kids and grandkids. But the number two thing, and my realtor, who's a friend of mine, knew this, was I had to have a place where I could put my lights that was accessible. So, no dead end streets, no off in the country, no weird hills that go off and things like that. And, we looked at a couple houses, and as you know, the housing market, it's really easy to buy a house now. And they're all underpriced. So
Piece of cake.
it's a piece of cake. So we looked at houses that, ticked off a couple of those boxes, but they've been on the market for 2 weeks. Now, you all know if a house has been on the market for 2 weeks in this market, there's something wrong with it, right? There's something wrong with it. And then this house that we're in now just kind of popped up, and we went up and we made an offer, and we were very fortunate to get it. It's on a small 2-lane street. Great neighbors. They love it. They walk by the Christmas display. They stop all during the year and say, hey, thank you for the lights. Not a lot of car traffic this year, but it was our first year. And we'll see what happens next year. I'm trying not to put it out there too much. I mean, I'm on this map, but I don't want to go out too much because I also, I don't want to piss off my neighbors. You can't pull out of the drive. I've heard some of the horror stories.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was definitely a consideration. I had to be able to put a Christmas display. So big yard, nothing blocking it, and access. We had a sidewalk in front of our house. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very cool. So
Awesome.
sounds like we need to have Todd on a regular episode
I think so. Definitely.
because sounds like he's got some good stories.
Yep.
So we'll definitely have you back for sure. So any other classes besides David's class? He's done it everywhere, so it's not really that important.
Looking at the agenda here, two like what's in your bag of tricks. The presentation of these are all the tools of tips of the trade. I learned about something called landscape tape I'd never heard of before, and I'm not exactly sure.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the plastic stretchy landscapers tape.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, instead of everybody pruning all your trees back and whatever, she wraps all her trees and bushes so that they kind of get the bushiness out, and then at the end she takes it off, so it kind of just cleans it up without having to trim everything.
So it's not sticky, right? It's just
Right.
plastic.
Yeah, no,
filmy
it's just
tape.
plastic. Yeah, I got
Okay.
a bunch of that here. That's a good idea. I never thought about moving part of a tree or something out of the way for my display.
Yep.
That's a good idea.
That was clever.
Lots of tools of the trade, lots of stuff. A lot of it I'd already had because I'd seen some quite a few of the X Essential videos, or just seen other people's builds, watching them build, and seeing some pretty cool tools.
Also, I heard somebody got their prop hacked at the.
Oh yeah, that was. So somebody brought. So Canon Wired Watts has, I guess, a pre-built pixel matrix now, all built up or something. So they had one there in the back of the room, and it was just scrolling like Pac Norwest, clap, welcome, blah 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 blah. But they left the FPP unprotected. So David goes up there and he's going to give a lesson on something, and he sure shit goes right into the FPP and changes the display, and because they left it unprotected. They didn't leave a password on it, which I thought was kind of cool.
I have to say, I got this idea from Jordan because he did the same thing at Minnesota, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't looking for it. My laptop just automatically connected to it because it was.
So
Shit.
he's trying to blame this on Jordan. Oh, I got this idea from Jordan because he just did it at the mini the weekend before.
He did.
You always do this.
Okay, that's true. I did do it before.
You
But
always, no matter where we are, somebody's house, some event, you always look on your phone to see if you can get on their network.
Oh yeah, I might do that. But anyways, guess whose it was? I didn't know until after I embarrassed him. It was Lauren.
Who's-
Lawrence, the guy that made the
Oh.
the
Oh,
moonshine.
Cantor, yeah.
Yeah. So he comes over to me because I said, I opened up with like, oh, and this is, very important that you need to secure your FPP. Otherwise, douchebags like me will log into it and embarrass you. And do you know whose voice that is?
Huh.
That's me. I I couldn't find a appropriate sound, so I just recorded myself and I kept changing the pitch.
Who do you
Anyways,
think you are, David Peace?
not that one. That one's not me. Anyways, yeah. So then he comes up to me later and he goes like, "So okay, so tell me, like, how do I secure my FPP?" I'm like, I don't know.
You can get into it, but you can't fix how to not get into it.
Yeah, I've never done it before, so I'm sure there's a password setting or something.
Yeah, I think
but
there is a password
I've
setting.
never done it. Or just rename your SSID from FPP, which is the default.
Yeah, I've got multiple FPPs. So if you don't, you got to rename them that way. But
Yeah.
but I think they all have FPP in the title, so you could probably do a search for it, even though. But I think mine are. Now you got me thinking. I don't know. I think mine are password.
Yeah, be careful because if David goes over there, he'll try to change your display.
Yeah.
You could have been much more malicious. You could have put some plug for your website, or you could have put something really bad up there, or just something that the presenters would see as they're going through there.
Just a
Yeah.
scrolling star and then the peace sign.
Oh no. No, David hacked into it, used it as a teleprompter because he still wasn't done with his.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea, actually. Yeah.
So that wrapped up the rest of the classes then?
Yeah, I'm looking at the presenters right now. It was that was pretty much all of them.
Now you guys had basically a Friday night mixer before the show on Saturday, or was that just a small get together?
That was hey, come down to the lobby, and we just
Oh, okay.
drank in the lobby.
Okay.
At the hotel.
So mini.
Yeah, it was
the
a
mini.
And then the next night, though, they have this thing like every year where they go to this Chinese buffet, and they were ready to go, and then apparently that is no longer around. So, but they found another one. So we went to. This was the first buffet I've been to since before COVID. I didn't think they existed anymore.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was good, really good. And a lot of us went and ate a ton of food. I don't recommend getting the sushi at the Chinese buffet. That was a bad choice. But the rest.
Wait a
of it was
minute.
really
You ordered sushi at a Chinese buffet.
good. I didn't order it. It's just out.
Went up and grabbed it.
Oh, you
And
got
I-
the sushi that was just laying out on a platter.
That you
At a
don't know how
at a
long
Chinese
it is.
buffet. Yeah.
Well, I guess that makes it Chinese sushi, right?
Yeah.
As a general rule, I always avoid sushi at Chinese buffets because it just seems like I
It
don't
don't
know.
belong?
That's
It
Yeah.
don't belong.
it's a bad choice. It's a bad choice.
One of these foods are not like the other.
Yeah. I stick to the rice and the orange chicken and the green beans and we've got one near our house that does a little steak thing, but they're the toughest steaks you've ever eaten in your life.
Your California is showing. I'm gonna get the sushi at the Chinese buffet.
Yeah.
They also have a kale salad for you. SoCal.
Oh man, yeah. It was very good. It's very good.
Except for the sushi.
So what was Todd first? What was your favorite part of the mini?
I think the Aubrey Call's presentation, just because I learned a ton from her, and she was just a very good presenter. Obviously, she'd done this presentation quite a bit and had it down. but really kind of hit home some musical stuff that made sense. She said it a bunch of times, somebody else said it a bunch of times, and I'd heard it before that, you know, off is a color, right? And the first time you sequence something, you just want to like throw all kinds of stuff up there and see what looks good and what doesn't look good. And you turn on every prop and you run it
You have to
until
hammer everything's a nail.
yeah, run it until it melts down. And, you know, her presentation, I kind of hit home with, hey, there's a melody, follow the melody, watch the thread, watch the, you know, as the music pulls up the lights and, you know, move that. So I thought her presentation was the best.
And she had a really good visual aid behind her as well. You know, she had the software up, but she had these strings of AC lights mounted to the wall. So as she's doing different, you know, sequencings with timing, you can actually see the lights blinking, and, you know, you get a much better feeling for the whole timing of what she's trying to explain. It was really, really well done.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And you know, this was the first time I'd seen David's presentation. I really liked the concept of the whole interactive thing. I got to figure out a way to do something with that. I don't know right now. I don't have a lot of foot traffic, so I don't, you know, it really doesn't do anything without foot traffic.
Yep.
But I thought maybe somehow working it in, and this is just a long lead formulation for me, is somehow working in as like a selfie where you stand in front of the screen with your family or whatever, and it takes a picture with the, you know, the lights in the background, maybe something like that. I like the angel wings thing, but that's
Where
more
were
of a
we?
kind of a walk-up thing.
Where were we that had the selfie station?
Oh, somebody's done it?
You're not, I don't know what you're talking about.
Somebody.
What I'm talking about is like you walk up to a booth, right? It looks like a booth, a normal whatever booth, and it's facing the display, your display, and you walk up and you look in it and you push one of the buttons and it takes us. You don't really need it to be that. That's not too interactive. You push it. It takes a selfie of you or whoever's standing, with the backdrop being the Christmas light display, and then, you know, you upload it to the Facebook page, which drives people to the Facebook page to get their picture or whatever. But then again, now that I think about it, who doesn't have a camera that can do their own selfie and not
It's
have
still
to worry
fun.
about all that?
People like pressing
yeah.
buttons.
Was that
Yeah.
a Trans World?
I was just
Who
going to
was-
say they had a really, that might be what you're talking about, because they had a really cool station at Trans World. Very similar. It had an iPad thing. I think that's what took the picture actually. And then, you know, it had this like thing that you could hold, or like you could set it on a stand, and then, yeah, you hit it and you go 5, 4, you know, and you'd stand back and it'd take a picture of you.
Maybe that's where it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when the three of us were there. I remember seeing like a selfie thing. Yeah, no, that would be cool. That would be cool. Stuff doesn't do that yet.
Yeah, so those are probably the two biggest ones that, and just meeting other folks. I mean, knowing that there's other folks out there in the community.
That's what the most important thing about minis are. I say it every time we do a
Yep.
mini episode.
Yep.
It
Definitely.
makes you feel like you're not that crazy.
Yeah.
You know, you walk into a room like you guys had 80 people that think the same way you do, and you're like, wow, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not that weird. I'm not crazy. Look at all these other people that are just like me and like Christmas lights.
And you can go back to your
Yeah.
significant other and say, see,
Yeah.
there's other people.
It is Christmas 365, darn it.
Right.
I do recommend not necessarily bringing the wife all the time to these things, because they do get bored, but once or twice
Yeah.
they could see that you're not crazy is always a good thing. But
The wife and I want to do one of the what's the show they're doing down in Biloxi this year? What is it called again?
Christmas Expo.
Christmas
Christmas
Expo.
Expo. We
Yep.
want to do a Christmas Expo. We're probably not going to do this year. Probably next year. She loves Christmas as much as I do. She loves, you know, she doesn't like setting up the show or stuff, but she loves bringing candy canes out to the kids. And
How are you traveling 12 hours east?
12 hours
Yeah.
east. Sounds
And
like where you're at.
late August.
Start the
We're
counter. That's one. That's one.
Oh,
Shameless
Brian.
don't worry.
plug.
Every mini episode, it turns in the whole last 10 minutes of the episode turns into, hey, I'm having a mini. Hey,
Only
Jared,
did that
we have a
once.
NorCal mini. And then we
I
talk
didn't
about
do it
SoCal
at all
mini.
on the last one.
Yes, we did.
Did we?
Yeah, and then we even talked about Bobby's mini.
Oh, we did. That's right.
Yeah, you went on your little mini
See?
tangent.
Yeah, because
Little mini
minis are
tangent.
that important. My mini tangent for the minis.
Yeah, you're not very far away from
No.
up there.
Send me the info. I mean, I'm not opposed to driving 10, 12 hours and meeting other
Cool.
people and seeing.
Oh,
Hang
you have
out with
you
a-
have the facial hair requirements for his mini.
Exactly.
And now
Gotta
you
have a
guys have
certain
two
length.
people showing up.
Yeah.
What's that?
Now you guys have two people showing
Well,
up.
that
to the
makes
mini.
6 because you met somebody there from Montana over.
Oh, that's
at
right. And she
the-
gave me a hug from you. Yep.
Yep. I told her. She says, "Hey, I just heard about you," and I'm like, "Okay." And then she told me that she was over there at the Pacific Northwest Clap Mini, and I'm like, "Oh, well, give David a hug for me." So
She came up to me. She's like, so, this guy Brian said I should come up to you and give you a hug. Like she was like so uncomfortable with it. I'm like, oh, okay.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I'll have to thank her. I just talked to David.
He's going to do it right now while we're talking.
I am. I was bringing her
Yeah.
up on Messenger. But then you hear how slow I type. That might take a while. So we'll wait. I
So
gotta go feed the kids.
this being your first mini ever, right? You never. What did you think? Like, do you think we're all a bunch of crazy Christmas people, or like, do you think this is like really cool? And
No, I mean, I found my tribe.
Found your tribe.
These are and I kind of knew it existed. I mean, over in Guam, we get the internet over there, but I saw all the mini stuff. I mean, COVID kind of shut everything down, but I saw the minis and I saw a lot of YouTube videos of minis, especially the Aussies like to see, they seem to film everything, all of their minis and
Well, they're just always drinking. Otherwise,
wow,
so what?
David Peace just throwing shade all day.
the Aussies.
Wow.
Actually, I don't think they consider that shade. I think that's a compliment. They
Yeah.
consider it a compliment.
As long as you say they're not, as long as he doesn't say they're drinking Fosters, we should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought it was great. I loved it. I mean, I set up a mini in Guam. It was me and my neighbors, and there was
Oh,
a lot
wow.
of bourbon and cigars, and we just watched my Christmas lights. And we did that every other night for about 4 months.
That's the way to do it. Man.
That's gotta be the new trend for minis. It's just like, hey, just come over here and look at my crap.
That is.
I think that's what the NorCal mini is going to be.
One. Does that have a date set for it? Yeah.
Well, you know, it was kind of frustrating because as I'm brought there drinking with them, right? You get kind of lubed up and you're like, you want to talk about things that you enjoy, right? Well, the one common thing that we all had over there, at least all the men in this circle, was we were all scuba divers, right? So we talked a lot of scuba diving stuff. There's only so much stuff you can talk about scuba diving. So I'd start talking about my lights. And
That. Oh shit! Here comes
I'd
Todd
say,
with his
hey,
lights.
I'm thinking about getting a Raspberry Pi, and I'm thinking of running FPP and running a show player off of FPP instead of running off of Xschedule. What do you guys think of that?
Wait,
Just
so,
look at you.
so you were getting a Raspberry Pi? I didn't realize they paid that well. Man, a
Go back
baller
to
over here
2020.
throwing around the Raspberry Pis. Come on.
Well, this is before they went crazy.
Okay.
I actually have. I screwed up. Somehow I ended up with 4 Raspberry Pis and 2 or 3 Beagle Bones because I'm running a P10 panel, and then I have a. Yeah.
Are you accepting offers? What are we starting at on those?
Well, I'm using them all now. I got them all in place. So, but yeah, I've had minis with my neighbors, and they would, I did get 2 people in Guam into the hobby. One of them was a guy that worked for me, and he went really, I mean, talk about dipping your toes in the water. He got like a mega tree, some icicles, and I think 1 prop, I think a star maybe, and that was it. and I was his tech support, right? So and he was
Guy-
using a
it's,
Mac.
it's guys with the beards. They end up in tech support.
I didn't have a beard then. I was
Couldn't have a
okay.
beard. Yeah, I was gonna say couldn't have a beard then.
But and he was running a Mac, and I don't have a Mac, so he'd come over, or I'd come over there, and I'd be like, "Oh man, I don't know what these. Why are these buttons colored? They're not supposed to be colored. I don't know what's going on here." But we got through that, and then I had another guy who got into it, and I built him a couple of boxes because I really enjoyed doing that. I like building the boxes too. I'd sit down and spend hours just doing that. I got to tell you the story about my first box, though.
Please.
First box, Falcon F16. It was for my Mega Tree and my 2 latte stones. And I was like, man, I'm going to pimp this thing out, right? I got the Bud box. I got the 2 power supplies. I got the Falcon. I got LED strips on the inside. I got a micro switch, so when I opened it, the LED lights would turn on. I got a power meter and 2 ammeters for the power supplies, Lexan layers. I mean, I just went hog wild on this thing. And this last year, the whole thing filled up with water.
Oh.
We don't get snow here that often, but this year we got a lot of snow, which is very unusual for the Puget Sound area. And I had a vent because it's my first box. Where do I put the vent? Well, let's put it on the top because I thought I was going to hang the box like this. Well, I don't. The box sits on the ground, right? So the vent is sitting there basically open. Snow got in there, and I came home, and I was so lucky. I don't know why, but I went out and checked my boxes, and I've got the power turned on a timer, so the power didn't come on until like 5:30 or 6, and it was like 3 in the afternoon. It was getting dark, how it gets dark up here around there. I opened it up, and I was like, holy shit. Oh, I can't say that. Holy mackerel.
No, that one's okay. I think Seth knows that one.
Okay. The box.
You get one per show.
I get one per show. Okay, I'm done.
Otherwise, our rating goes up.
Go to NC-17.
Yeah.
The water had filled up. The two power supplies on the bottom were underwater, and it was touching the bottom of the Falcon. So I quickly unplugged it, took it out. But I mean, this was an hour before my show started. I had a Culp board that I was able to get something in the next night or the night after. And I actually, one of the power supplies I salvaged, I just, dumped out the water, took out the power supply, let it dry for like 2 or 3 weeks, and it worked. The other one did, and it was gone.
What's funny is I was thinking of something funny to say about the box incident, and then I realized I had this sitting next to my desk. Oh gosh, I can't say it. This is all rusted because I did the exact same thing. It had the box filled up with water, and yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
rain in Southern California.
We get rain out sometimes.
In LA, it's all different. So
La la.
Yeah, that was a heart dropper. I mean, one of the presenters had this picture of this girl like pulling her hair out. So this is what you're going to experience at one time. That was one of those moments. I was like, you got it. I was just, but I unfortunately had a
That was
backup
David when he
box.
had long hair.
And I learned a lot about waterproofing, and I take my boxes and they don't even sit out in the weather. I've got a Tupperware tub underneath them and then a Tupperware tub on top of them that covers the whole thing. I don't even mess around. So
Nice.
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I've never put an air vent on any controller I've ever built.
So I'm thinking of doing that now. But my background, when I first joined the Navy, I was an electronics technician, right? And cooling. You got to have some sort of cooling on that stuff. And then PCs, you were always cooling it. So I thought, okay, I gotta cool this thing, right? The power supplies.
Yeah, they don't.
no.
I don't think they get that hot. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, they get warm certainly, but
I don't
Um,
think your weather is anywhere close to making it get that warm, especially when you get snow and stuff.
Yeah.
I think places like some parts of Texas and Florida and stuff,
Australia,
Australia,
Yeah.
they
because
have
they're in their
summer
summer.
there.
They're in their summer
Yeah.
during the
Yeah.
Christmas time.
Yeah, I think everything I build from here on out is going to be just completely vent free and yeah,
Well, there should still be something on the bottom in case something gets in.
See, I elevate all
Drainage.
my stuff just in case of that, but I use different boxes. I use the Plano boxes that are the 56 quart, and then I elevate everything 4 inches off the bottom. And then I do my bottom plate. That's where the power supplies go. And then on top of that is the controllers and the
and you drill a
Everything
hole on drill holes on the bottom for
for my stands. Yep.
okay, yeah.
Drill them and seal them. And then I have the breather holes, basically the dehumidifying holes on the bottom. If there is any condensation that builds up in there, the smallest drill bit I have like 6 holes, I think. If there is any condensation buildup, that it'll drain out the bottom.
Yeah.
So
That's-
the
that's
big
fine.
ones I seal that have I call it all threaded rod that I use for it. So
I see. I build a controller for the most part for myself that I could just dunk it underwater and pull it up, and it's fine. It's sealed. No holes.
I'm not that high speed.
Well, I wanted all my controllers to be super cool so that when people came by, I could open them up and show them. And frankly, nobody gave a shit.
That's two.
There's
That's
two.
No, I think that you'll find in the coming years, though, especially new people getting into the hobby, they do love coming by and taking a look into your controllers and
Yeah.
how you have stuff set up. So
One of my favorite things on watching the YouTube channels and for Christmas lights, and what I learned a lot was people's walkthroughs.
Yeah.
People do a walkthrough of their display, and there's a guy in I think he's in Utah, Real Pilot, who's got a pretty big display. He's got a ton of pixels, and he does a walkthrough that's really informative and
What's his name?
Quite extensive. What's his name? His name is, well, his call sign, what it is, Real Pilot, but his group is Inspire Lights.
oh, Doug
That's
Reel.
Doug Reel.
Doug Reel.
Doug Reel,
Doug Reel in
Yeah.
Colorado. He's in Denver, Colorado.
Colorado. Yeah.
Yep.
And Doug's awesome.
Yeah, he is. He is awesome people.
He's got a really good walkthrough, and I love the walkthroughs because I learned a lot from those too. Just seeing how they connect stuff, how they hide stuff, how they connect things, and what kind of fans and other stuff they got running. So
Yeah, it's cool when you do your own walkthrough. Don't let your friends walk through your display.
who did that?
I may have critiqued David's house a little bit.
Can't get all the way over. Something
Look,
about a mega tree.
Everybody at some point does something that you're like, yeah, this is not good, but the show must go on.
Yeah.
I have a lot of those things. And one of them was my Megatree base holder. It did. I should say, though, that this was before the Matos tree existed. So,
We don't do promotions on this show, Seth. Please remove that.
okay, sorry.
And blur my shirt the whole time, please. No, I'm joking.
Do not blur this. This is
Or
August 13th, SoCalHoliday.lighting. SoCalHoliday.lighting.
I'll put my hat up here and I just won't look down.
yeah, yeah. So, did we cover everything about the mini? Did we get everything?
Yeah, I mean,
Anybody?
what was my favorite thing? Oh, thanks for asking. My favorite thing,
I said you were next.
Let's hear more about that.
yeah, no, I was all prepared. It was definitely the apple pie that Lauren made. That it was so
The
tasty.
thing he can't even remember. The moonshine, the apple pie moonshine was David's favorite thing.
Yes,
I missed the moonshine.
it was sitting
Oh.
on the bar in a jug.
Lauren's got some really good stuff.
Yeah.
If it's in a belt buckle or whatever it may happen to be in.
Did you? I passed it when he offered it out of the belt.
Oh man, it was
Oh, yes.
it was breathe in your nose and out your mouth after.
Well, apparently you
took
didn't
a-
get the same rules when he offered it to you.
Oh, I already knew that. Why would he tell you?
There
I
was
knew to
only-
do that.
It only poured one way in his belt buckle, and I wasn't getting down there to receive it.
Oh, it was a detachable. he only did that for people that got pretty mouse. But it was a detachable.
Wow.
Seth, you may want to take that.
Jordan.
Hey!
Not shit for Jordan.
Not at all.
Jordan.
Hey!
But no, it was a detachable belt buckle. So it was
That reminds me of a song. Have you guys heard Detachable Penis?
No.
I may have to take that out too, but you can listen to it. It's a great song.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Is that by
I
Rodney
got
Carrington?
friends in low places.
Hey!
All right. So
Don't tell Seth, don't ever listen to Rodney Carrington.
um so David's
breath.
favorite part of the mini was alcohol.
Well, no, that's the mini was great. I'm just saying, like that was a very memorable part to me because it was very, very tasty. I mean, again, I've seen both presenters before, so I really enjoyed them. Of course, I really love Darren's hybrid display. Like I really, so I love pixels, but I really don't think that you can substitute a nice AC glow. You know, the traditional lights still have a very special place for me, and I really do like it when people can kind of mix the two. You know, so he has a very, very neat display, and he was talking about how he kind of balances that out. So that was a really, really great presentation.
I learned a phrase from him that I'd never heard before.
What was
Jitter
that?
fits.
Jitter fits. Jesus is the reason for the season.
Yeah.
Jitter fits.
Shitter fist.
I've never heard that before either.
Yeah.
But I guess he had. Did he say he had the letters? Like he has them. Like
No, I think he just used, that's what he called his, because he's got a big AC prop that says Jesus is the reason for the season.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's ginormous. Yeah, his is definitely very religious. But I'd never heard that before. I thought it was pretty cool. But
Yeah, that's clever.
I agree. I like the AC. I still have AC lights in mine. I like the AC lights. I don't think I'll get rid of them because they're kind of cool and spent a lot of money on that controller.
But I also think there's like, you know, going back to the whole, you know, people trying to put everything on everything all the time. You know, you could do some really cool stuff with like pixels, you know, and do your sequence, and then in between songs, you can just kind of have, you know, traditional slow fades.
Yeah.
You know, have a little break and then go back to the, you know, you could mix it up so they're not even on at the same time.
Yeah.
Do some cool stuff.
I tried that once to just take my Pixel show and make it look like a static display.
Hmm?
It was a lot of work.
So it didn't work.
A lot of work.
No, it did. It did. It's just a lot of work. You know how do you make like a matrix that are over bushes look like they're just net bush lights, mini light?
Mhm.
You have to go through and like every pixel to change the color to like do and just be like on. It's
I do
I feel
a
like there's an easier way.
there
I do
probably
a,
is an
I do a
easy way.
static display half hour before my show and an hour after my show every night.
Nice.
And it's a 30-second sequence that just loops. Works perfect. So but I didn't do the bushes like what you're talking about. I just did,
Yeah.
a lot of submodels.
I think it would be cool, and I don't know if X Lights can do this or if they can make that do this. I think there could be cool to have an option where instead of off, it's static.
That's just
Well,
the on effect.
That's just an on
It's-
effect.
Yeah,
No,
just-
but like you build like a static.
I know what yep. And
You
there
build
is.
like a static, you know, like your mini lights, how the mega tree is supposed to look like, and when they're not doing anything, they go back to static.
Clyde and I were talking about it back in January. There is, because I told him everything that I went through on how I did my static. And he's like, there's a lot easier way to do that. And I'm like, what? And I can't remember the name of it. I don't even have X.
No, I'm talking like in the middle of the sequence though.
Yeah, you could do this.
Instead of the house ever going completely black, it just goes back to normal.
What brought up the conversation, I was talking about my nativity scene, because I don't want my nativity scene sequenced. I want it in the sequence or everything around it, and I still want it lit. And he's like, yeah, you just do that state effect.
No. But see, what I want to do is I want, say your nativity scene, I want it lit. And then when the light show has a sequence that hits it, it hits it. But then when the lights are done, like instead of them ever going black, they always just go back to their normal standing.
I got you.
position.
I think that
I
would
think
be
the only
the
way to do that
same.
is to program it each.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that would be the
Be cool
same
if there was like a
yeah.
layer, like you could put a bottom layer that was just always this. And then when there was no sequence, that layer would show.
Well, you just solved it because the top layers would go over that and they would take control of the prop. So if you just put a bottom layer,
Yeah, but then you have to go through the whole thing. Like if you could just have like a bottom layer of all
I
things.
feel like this would be better solved at the show player level, because then you're going to have the same thing where like between sequences you have like everything turns off and then it turns back on. You know, there's
Mhm.
always a
Well, yeah,
gap.
there's
But,
that,
like-
but I want it to be when in the middle of the sequence, so there's no black ever.
Oh, you know, black is a color.
I know.
We learned that earlier, didn't we?
off as a
Okay.
color.
So before I forget, I want to mention three
Talk about,
guys. A huge shout out to Don, Mark, and Kevin for doing this. They're in the email chain that I had with them. Three great guys. They did all of the Pacific Northwest clap meetup, setting up and talking to vendors and all that. And follow up with that with the vendors as well when everybody gets a prize, especially when they're he had 80 people sign up and 66 actually attended. So that was over 66 gifts that vendors donated to him. So definitely a shout out to all the vendors for that. But Don, Mark, and Kevin did an awesome job with it. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, they
and I
did an
do
excellent
plan on
job.
trying to make it next year. So,
Yeah,
and they did it with
I'm definitely gonna try to get up there.
and they did it like just with such, you know, ease too. You know, like when you just watching them do it. You know, events are hard, and they nailed it. They did a really good job.
Did. Yes, they did.
Awesome. And now this, you know, this whole little thing about doing minis on the show making me want to go to all these minis.
I know, like we are so missing out.
Because every like mini show we've had has had completely different classes.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that I think that's what makes it so cool is because, you know, every mini that I've been to anyways, they always like, you know, say, hey guys, what do you want to learn, right? And every group and every location is different in what they want to focus on. So everybody has a little bit of a different spin to it. And yeah, it's just really neat to see all the different stuff.
So, like I say on all the mini episodes, you don't have to just go to the mini in your area. Like if there's another mini close to you, like I go to the SoCal one all the time,
Mhm.
go to it because guaranteed, I didn't say it, you did. That doesn't count. Because guaranteed that mini that you're going to go to is teaching you completely different stuff. And you're going to have a whole bunch of different people there to meet. And somebody might be doing something similar to what you're doing and could be a huge help to you. So always go to minis and meet new people. And minis are awesome events. And thank you for everybody who puts them on and makes it happen, because you make this community a lot better and grow, especially when everybody meets each other and then everybody becomes friends. Not
Yeah,
just
get you rejuvenated on Christmas, right in the middle of this, you know, in between one Christmas and the next. You're kind of like, okay, well, I really need to get going on this. I got to figure this. Then you go to a minute and you're like, let's go.
let's do this.
Game on, baby.
Yeah.
Game on. Grab that.
Yeah.
Do this. Go there.
Yeah, minis are cool. Minis are awesome. And thank you guys for being on the show and talking about the experience.
Yep. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, David.
Yeah,
And
I love the new set. Thank you.
this is great.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you, JR, for having
Brian,
me.
David,
Todd, thank you for your service. I do appreciate
Yes,
that.
thank you
I
for your
definitely want to
service.
throw that out there. So
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me on. This has been a lot of fun. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
and we're definitely gonna have to have you back for a regular episode, because I feel like there's a lot of good stories about your display when it was
Yeah.
go
I
on.
can tell you
I
about
just-
the time the Base XO and CMC came by my house. We'll save that for a regular
Yeah.
episode.
I'd just like to say he has started this new tradition of get lit with my lights. That's instead of minis, it's get lit with my lights. So you come, you drink, have cigars, and look at my light show.
I
Yeah,
like it. I like it.
That's going to be the NorCal Get Lit event.
Well,
Gotta
that
be
might have
careful
a
with that
different
get lit
meaning.
up here, though. That
That's a
could be two
that's a
things.
different meaning in California than it would be on a base. So.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. And I think we're going to let Chill, since he's made David uncomfortable the whole time. We'll make Chill say goodbye. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Oh, everybody
Here we
joining the
go
Chill?
again.
Wow, it wants me to. No, I don't
Chill?
want to do that.
Come on, man.
Hi,
We're
folks.
waiting.
And thanks for tuning in to my show.